NCLAT, which was hearing plea from Lessors side, has decided to upheld the NCLT order, which means there will be long-term repercussions for lessors. They will not be able to take possession of the aircrafts they had leased to go first up until the moratorium ends, which could be approximately 100 days and plus. This is not good news for lessors, but some relief to go first, as it will continue to have possession of its aircraft, will continue and perhaps drop a strategy to go back to skies and start its operations once again, resume flights once again. So some glimmer of hope there for Go First at this point in time. My colleague Kartik Malhotra joining me in the studio. Kartik, glimmer of hope for Go First, but lessors are not going to be happy.
Glimmer of hope, well, at a point, if it does get the permit and does get approval to take to the skies again. Until then, it's pretty much status quo. The good news is that, like you mentioned, the lessors can't take their aircraft back. It stays with the tribunal at the moment, and the IRP, Abhilash Lal, continues to be in chair in command. Now, lessors, of course, as you remember, had petitioned because Go First had declared voluntary insolvency to NCLT, and the blame was squarely put on the Pratt & Whitney engines, due to which 50% of Go First's fleet was grounded because of unserviceable engines and replacement stroke servicing not happening, despite the contracts being in place, not happening in time. So, I think that sort of led to Go First going ahead and putting in the plea for voluntary insolvency, and the NCLT had gone ahead and admitted that plea in its courts. And this is something that came as a rude shock to lessors. And lessors internationally are these bodies that purchase aircraft from aircraft manufacturers and lease them out to aviation companies that have the license to fly them. So the ground on which the lessors were complaining and petitioning to the appellate tribunal, NCLAT, was the fact that they believed that the contract permitted them to take hold of their aircraft and get them back into their stables as and when required. Otherwise, the fleet stuck on ground is pretty much serving no purpose, neither to the lessors, who otherwise command a rent on that fleet, and of course, since the aircraft is grounded, it can't make use of them as well. So it's definitely a body blow to lessors, and this would have long-term ramifications on their understanding of contracting in India and their overall appreciation of ease of doing business, which is highly talked about in India. So this is definitely a body blow to them, but a sigh of relief for Go First that things are going as per their strategy laid out very clearly.
Okay, so here's what we know so far. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal has upheld NCLT order allowing crisis hit Go First insolvency resolution proceedings to move on from here. So moratorium period stays on. A two-member bench of NCLAT has asked several aircraft lessors to Go First, who are opposing the insolvency, to in fact approach the National Company Law Tribunal, NCLT, for any remedy that they want at this point in time. This comes at least a week after AWG, which is the Aviation Working Group, Kartik, also sort of gave a commentary on India, saying that this does not augur well for India and for the faith of lessors who have in fact leased out several aircrafts to aviation players across the sector. And the order is really going to jolt the fate of lessors, as you pointed out. It's not a benefit to anybody. It's not a benefit to Go First. Neither it is for lessors for aircrafts to remain grounded and not take to skies.
You're right, Shweta. So again, I think it's the writing is fairly clearly, squarely on the wall. The lower court, NCLT, in this case, admitted the plea, and there was enough reason given, show cause given for that admission into the insolvency code, and it got accepted. Now the fact that it has been accepted by the lower court, I think the higher court, the appellate tribunal, has just stuck to the verdict of the old court and doesn't really want to create more ruckus than there already is in the Indian aviation space. But for the lessors, it is definitely a problem, and these lessors, this is their business model, right? So any aircraft that they technically own which is not flying, on which because of the insolvency proceedings there is no rental income on those aircraft, it becomes a problem for them. It's something that is going to hurt them financially, but it's the same financial mess that Go First wanted to get itself rid of, and which is why it went into the insolvency code for the first time. Okay,
we will of course have to wait and watch out for the ramifications of that. But lessors, let me quickly name the lessors in this case, are SMBC Aviation Capital Limited, Jiva Aviation, SFV Aircraft Holdings and Engine Leasing Finance BV. Those are the lessors of Go First. A body blow for them as we are reading at this point in time. We will of course have to wait and watch out for what they do next. Will they go to NCLT or not? That of course is the suggestion that NCLAT has made. If they want any remedy, go to NCLT, but NCLT has already ordered for insolvency proceedings to move at a pace. So Go First, there's some sort of relief for Go First at this point in time.